Look at this taco's structure. The rigid exterior gives way to melted cheese and beef, holding together perfectly for a deep dunk into hot broth. To build this, we have to satisfy three strict architectural requirements: fork-tender beef, high-moisture cheese that melts rapidly, and a structurally sound, crispy shell. This blueprint outlines our required tools and materials. On the hardware side, you need a heavy Dutch oven, blender, and hot skillet. Our ingredient matrix relies on beef chuck roast, a specific blend of dried chilies, and the correct dairy. Getting the recipe right comes down to precise execution. We are going to strictly control heat, moisture, and fat extraction to engineer the perfect textures from these components. Step 1 is preparing the foundation. We start by applying a generous, even coating of salt and black pepper to the entire surface of the beef chuck roast. Next, we need to sear the beef in a Dutch oven over medium-high heat. We want to establish a deep brown crust on all sides to trigger the Maillard reaction, locking in our baseline flavor profile. Once browned, we set the beef aside. There is a layer of residual beef fat left at the bottom of the pot. We use that fat to sauté chopped white onion, minced garlic, dried guajillo and ancho chilies, a chipotle pepper, and our dry spices. After a few minutes, we hydrate those aromatics. We add canned fire-roasted tomatoes, 4 cups of beef broth, and a splash of apple cider vinegar, bringing the entire mixture to a simmer. Now we have to blend this mixture, which introduces a safety hazard. Blending hot liquids in a sealed container creates rapid steam expansion that can blow the lid off. Always vent the blender lid slightly, or use an immersion blender to allow that pressure to escape safely. Once safely contained, we blend the chunky aromatic mixture until it is mechanically transformed into a completely smooth, vibrant red liquid. By completely homogenizing the solids into the liquid, we ensure that every single drop of this braising broth carries maximum flavor density for the meat to absorb. With the broth finalized, we submerge our seared beef back into the pot, cover it, and reduce the heat to a low simmer. This timeline charts our 3-hour cook. During this low-temperature braise, tough connective collagen slowly breaks down into tender gelatin. If pulled from the heat early, you interrupt this conversion. The collagen remains intact, leaving a tough, rubbery texture. The physical milestone you are looking for is total mechanical submission. When you can shred the beef apart using only 2 forks with 0 resistance, the braise is complete. Maintaining patience through this thermal conversion is the single non-negotiable step required to achieve the correct melt-in-your-mouth structure for our filling. Now we address the dairy. We require a solid block of Oaxaca or Monterey Jack cheese. You must avoid standard pre-shredded bagged cheese entirely. This cross-section shows why. Oaxaca cheese has a specific high-moisture cellular structure. When exposed to the high heat of a griddle, this matrix melts evenly without separating into a greasy, broken mess. Before we assemble, we need to extract our frying oil. As the cooked consommé rests, a layer of bright red fat rises to the top. We carefully skim only this floating fat layer into a separate shallow dish. You must be precise here. If your tortilla dips past the fat and absorbs the watery broth sitting underneath, the corn structure will immediately turn to mush and collapse on the grill. This heavily spiced, isolated red fat is the exact vehicle we need to fry the tortillas and deliver a rigid, crispy exterior. To begin assembly, take a fresh corn tortilla and drag it lightly through the isolated red fat until the surface is completely coated. When the fat-soaked tortilla makes contact with a blistering hot griddle, it experiences rapid thermal shock. The oil bubbles and the tortilla crisps immediately. While it fries, we build the interior. Apply a layer of high-moisture cheese, add a dense cluster of beef, and fold the top half over. Once folded, take your spatula and gently press the taco flat against the pan's surface. This pressure forces the melting cheese to extrude out past the edges of the tortilla, making direct contact with the hot metal to caramelize. As cheese caramelizes with the spiced fat along the border, it fuses the two halves together. This creates a watertight structural seal that will prevent the taco from disintegrating when we submerge it later. Pull the tacos off the heat once they are deeply golden brown on both sides, and stack them next to a small bowl of the remaining hot consommé. To balance the heady fat and rich meat, apply fresh chopped cilantro, diced white onion, and a generous squeeze of lime directly into the broth and over the tacos. The result is a highly tactile experience. You can feel the rigid golden crust hold its shape, breaking the surface of the rich red consommé as it absorbs heat and flavor. Follow these steps to execute the build yourself. Leave a comment below to let us know how your textures turned out, and make sure to subscribe for more technical breakdowns of the food you love. By treating cooking as an exercise in precision, managing thermal breakdown, isolating fats, and targeting your caramelization, you have engineered a structurally perfect, multi-textured dish.